Last week, I went to the cinema to watch Suzume No Tojimari and it was okay. I thought if I should even make this video because to me the best reviews are either things that I love or things that I hate, and this movie was my definition of decent. I know that this may sound outrageous because a lot of people love Makoto Shinkai's works, but this movie truly failed to leave any sort of strong impression on me. I enjoyed it, I didn't think it was bad, but I certainly won't rewatch it. It was just something that I happened to watch and will likely forget in a few weeks. This is only the second movie from Makoto Shinkai that I watched, with the first one being Kimi no Na wa, and I'm slowly realizing that maybe this director's movies are just not the right fit for my particular taste. It's hard for me to harshly criticize this movie as I don't think it really did anything wrong. I can't really point at something and say it did this egregious thing because it didn't. It was overall just a lukewarm cinematic experience. So let's break it down. Usually when I'm watching anime, be it a movie or an animated series, there's this Venn diagram of the two main things that I'm looking for when I'm watching an anime. The first is the audiovisual presentation. Is what I'm watching pretty? Does it look good? Does it sound presentable? And the second one is the story. Is the narrative gripping? Are the characters interesting? When it comes to the story, I think that Suzume had some juicy themes that could have been better explored. Suzume lost her mother when she was young and she could never quite overcome that feeling of loss, and it affects the connection with her aunt who she lives with. And in turn, her aunt clearly loves her niece, but there's this dark feeling inside of her where sometimes she feels like she's burdened with her and can't truly be free to live her life. They both love each other, but it seems there's always this awkwardness and this tentativeness that prevents them to truly embrace as a family, like they're always a conversation that's left unfinished. In my opinion, this is by far the most interesting dynamic in this movie. It feels very real, it makes me forget that I'm watching animation, and it makes me very immersed because this conflict and this drama just feels so human. However, if you've already watched the movie, then you know that most of the movie is not this. Most of the movie is Suzume running around with a talking chair chasing a cat. Obviously, I'm being overly mocking here, but most of the movie is Suzume leaving her small town and traveling through these new places and meeting these new characters, which to me is just fundamentally not as interesting. Also, I've never been to Japan, so maybe this is just a culture shock, but everyone that Suzume meets in this movie is so kind and so helpful, it all feels so overly convenient. In this movie with a giant worm and a talking cat, to me by far the most unrealistic thing is when a dude accepts to ride around for 7 hours because he may meet his friend who owes him money. Like, what? My suspension of disbelief was certainly tickled at various points in this movie. Then there's this whole romance subplot where the two main characters supposedly fall in love with each other, but I never thought they really had any chemistry, and it seemed like they love each other just because they're the main characters. But then again, as I was leaving the cinema, I saw two girls coming out crying, so maybe I'm just a heartless monster. Who knows? Overall, in terms of story, especially for a 2-hour movie, I think that Suzume could have done a lot more with less. Focus on the family dynamic, you don't need the male love interest, perhaps you don't even need as much magical worm stuff, just use that plot point to move things along and give some urgency to the main characters, and overall just focus on the characters that matter. Now, for the other aspect that I mentioned, the audiovisual spectacle. We've already established that I wasn't particularly captivated by this movie's plot, but was I blown away by the sheer animated awesomeness that my eyes were witnessing? This movie looked and sounded very good, but to me it lacked a certain charm and playfulness that, for example, the old Ghibli movies had. When I watched, let's say, Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke, I was always in such awe of all the little creatures and the huge monsters and the overall feel of things. Those movies made me so happy to watch animation. It was a perfect example of why I love it so much. There's this playfulness, this beautiful exploration of the author's imagination. I can watch Spirited Away today and still have the same feelings of excitement I had when I was a child. And I know, it's not fair to compare any animated movie to what are considered by many masterpieces, but Makoto Shinkai's name carries around a certain weight, and it seems that to me, my expectations are never met. Suzume's animation is very good, but its character designs aren't very inspired. It doesn't feel like they're taking any risks at any point. The visuals are objectively very good, but they don't feel like a celebration of animation. They feel derivative and safe. So overall, while I can definitely understand why some people love this movie and Makoto Shinkai's works in general, I feel that even though I love anime, I'm just not the demo that this is geared towards. To me, it's not a visual masterpiece with incredible shots and amazing character designs, and it's also not a thought-provoking narrative that left me thinking about it for days after. Suzume No Tojimari is a cute coming-of-age movie that is not excellent, but it's competent in what it sets out to do. My disappointment is caused by my own high expectations. I just don't think there was much in this movie for me, or maybe I'm just a hater, who knows. If you enjoyed Makoto Shinkai's previous works, you'll most likely enjoy this one. This was it for me, folks. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.